how to create a sport betting template in Excel or a bet tracker. And the thing that is very interesting, it's because the template is interactive. You can filter using those slicers, using the month as a criteria. You can filter by the result, draw, loss, or win. And you can also change here, win, loss, or draw. And here above you have the calculations that automatically return the informations that you have in the data set below. So let's say I want to filter all the bets that I place on January. Let me click here in the number 1, and you're going to see that those numbers are going to change automatically. So this is the benefit to use this specific template right here, because you can make analysis and also register all your bets. So step by step, let's see how can we set up this template in Excel from scratch. So let's go. Let's get started renaming the spreadsheet that we have. So here in the footer, I want to right click and then go to rename. I want to give it a name such as bet tracker. Enter. Another thing that is very important, here in the first cell, I want to input the starting balance. So let's say $500. Let me click on the cell and then go to the home tab and change to a currency format. Okay. Another thing that we can have here underneath is the current balance. And again, we want to use a $sign here, a currency format. But anyway, let me increase the width of this column. Just need to click in between one column and another, click, hold, and drag to the right. Now let's go to the 10th row maybe. And here I want to input the informations that are important for me, such as the date, the month, and the year. And why I'm using the 10th row instead of, let's say, the 5th row? Because I want to have this blank space to input other tools, such as maybe some slicers, some filters to filter and sort the data that we're going to have. But anyway, as the date, I can start with maybe January 1st of 2025. It's just an example, okay? And I want to return automatically the month from the date that I have. So I can use the equal sign, the month function. Let me double click in this function, 1, 2. And the only thing that I need to do now is select the date that I have to the left, enter. And similar to that, I can also have the year, equal sign, year, double click, 1, 2, and then click on the date, enter. Let me also increase the width of those columns like this, okay? In the next column, I can have the description to input the informations of the bet. So let's say I'm bet on football on the score line 2-2-1. Let's say enter. Another thing that I can have is going to be the odd. The odd is basically a number that is going to serve as a factor to multiply the wager, and that way we can have the winnings. So let's say the profit. In the next column, wager. The wager is the money that we are put on or bet on each one of those bets. So let's say in this first bet, the odd is 2.15, enter. Now the wager I want to bet on is $100. Okay, let me click on this number here and go to Home tab and change to a currency format. Let me increase the width, and I want to decrease the width of the column E. Okay, like this. In the next column, maybe we can have the result. That can either be a win or loss or a draw. And as I said, I can have either win or loss, but I might also get my money back if no one else wins the wager, let's say. So it's a draw when I can have my money back, my wager back. I want to create a list with all those 3 different possibilities. So let me click in the first cell and then I can go to data validation, and as the validation criteria, I want to allow, instead of any value, a list. And as the list, I can have win, comma, lost, comma, or a draw. Enter or OK. Let me get rid of those cells underneath the win. And as you can see, I can change between win, lost, or draw. Another thing that I can do that I think is going to look very good is, let me click on the cell and go to the home tab, and I want to automatically change the colors between the results. So conditional formatting, highlight cells rules, and then equal to. Whenever I have a loss, I want the cell to be red. Okay. Whenever I have a win, I want the cell be green. And whenever I have a draw, I want to have a yellowish cell. Enter. Okay, now it's working. Win, loss, or draw. Another column that we can have is the return and the profit. The profit is basically the difference between the return and the wager. And we can also have the current balance. Okay, let me select all those three last columns, and in between one column and another, I can click, hold, and drag to the right to make sure I can increase evenly the width of those columns. As the return, we can have three different criteria or conditions. If I have a draw, it's because I can have my wager back or my money back. So equal sign, if, double click, 1, 2, if. The result that I have is equal to, open quotations, draw, close quotations, comma, it's because I'm going to have my wager back, and then enter. However, if the result is not a draw, let's say win or loss, I need to have a different calculation within the return. Let's say I have a win. 1, 2 in the cell. Let me get rid of the last parenthesis, comma. I want to input another if right here. Double click, 1, 2. Of course, if you have in Excel the ifs function, it can be easier to set up the conditions. However, let's pretend you do not have the ifs function. You only have the if. We can do like I'm doing here. If the result is equal to, open quotations, win, close quotations, comma, what I need to do is the odd number times the wager, comma. Now something very interesting is I can have three different results: draw, win, and loss. So the only condition that is missing here is the loss. So I don't need to input another if function because I can set up the loss within this argument right here, value if it's false. So let's do it. If I have a loss, what is going to happen is the return is basically the same as the wager, but as a negative number. So negative sign or minus the wager. That's it. Let me close parentheses. Let me close parentheses one more time, and then OK, or enter. If I have here a win, it's because I'm going to have the wager multiplies by the odd, and the return is going to be 215. If I have a loss, I'm going to basically lose everything that I bet on, all the money. And if I have a draw, it's because I'm going to have my wager back. Simple as that. Let's click on the return and go to the dollar sign, okay? Also the current balance and the profit. Both of those cells I need to format as a currency. Something that we need to be mindful now is the profit, because let's say the profit here is going to be equal sign, the return minus the wager, enter. Okay, 0, it's correct. However, if I have a win, it's going to be 115, okay, it's correct. And if I have here maybe a loss, it's not correct. negative 200. No, it's not right, because if I bet $100 and I lose all this money, my profit is going to be equal to the money that I lost. So it's not possible to be negative 200. So this is why we need to use here a if function. Equal sign if, double click 1, 2, if the logical test is equal to, or the result, okay? If the result is equal to open quotations, loss, close quotations, it's because I'm going to have the profit as the return. Comma, if it's not true, I need to do the math that we did before. That is return minus the wager, enter. Now let's check if it's correct. The profit's negative, okay. Win 115, it's correct. And the last one, the draw, okay, 0. Another thing that we can do to improve the visualization is, let me select both of those cells, and then instead of using here the accounting, I want to click in this down arrow and then more numbers format. I want to use currency and this last option here, the red one, okay? Another thing, let me go here to the home tab and change the color of the font to a green one. If I have a positive return and a profit, I'm going to have a green number. And if I have, let's say 0, it's also green. And if I have a loss, I'm going to have a red return and profit. And as the currency balance in the first row, we can do equal or equals to the starting balance, add to the profit, enter. Now in the next row, the row underneath, we need to do a different calculation. But however, let me select first this row, and I want to click at the bottom right corner, click, hold, and drag one row down, like this. Okay. Now we have the same information as before. However, we need to check the currency balance to make sure it's correct. And it's going to be the equal sign, the previous current balance, plus or add to the current profit, enter. Okay, that's it, simple as that, we're done. Let me select all those things that I have. I want to align in the middle and also center in the screen. I want to put all borders and I want to insert a table. Make sure your table has headers, okay? This option is checked. And why is it important to have a table in Excel? Because whenever you input here a new information such as January 3rd of 2025, enter, you're going to have all the calculations done for you, such as the month, the year. You have here the data validation, the list, the drop-down list, also the calculation of the return, the profit, and also here the current balance. Something that is different is the format of this number. However, I can properly correct that. Let me select all those cells. And then accounting, let me use the number format here. Or sorry, the dollar sign. Yeah, that's it, simple as that. Okay, now we can move on to the informations that we are going to use here above, such as the slicers to filter the data set that we have. So let me click here within the table, anywhere, and then data or table design, insert slicer, and I want to have as the slicer the month, the year, and also the result. Okay, now I can filter the table based on those 3 different criteria. Let me organize it better. Let's put the month right here and bring it up a little bit like that. The year I want to put right here and bring it up also like here. It can be thinner, maybe like that. And the result I want to put just like here. And okay, like that. I think it's good. Now let's click on the month slicer and go to the slicer and increase the columns number, such as 4 maybe, or 5. Now instead of having 1 row per month, we are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons or 4 columns for each row. Okay, it's much better. Another information that we can input here is maybe using the subtotal function to help us added up only the results that we are seeing, or the results that we filter. Because let's say I have different results, such as loss, loss, and win. I only want to see the loss. If I click on the loss, the table is going to be automatically filtered for me, and I'm going to have specific results for this information. And I want to have the calculation here, the total, to add up only the values that I have currently here in the screen. So to do it, I can use the subtotal function. But let me first use here a header such as total equal sign subtotal 1, 2. I want to add up the value, so sum 1, 2, comma, and I want to add up the return first. Enter. Let me bring it to the right, okay, like that. 1, 2. Okay, it's using the correct range. And in the last column here, I can have equal sign, the starting balance, add to the profit, and then enter. This is my current balance, 300, as you can see here. And another thing, remember that we did here, the current balance, we can take the information, equal sign, that we have in this cell right here. Enter. Simple as that. I can also select all those cells, align in the middle and then in the center, put all borders, put everything in bold. And as the header, I can have a bluish background in a white font color. I can do the same for the second header that I have, okay? Now to those informations that I have here, I can align in the middle and in the center, put everything in bold, use borders, okay? As the total, I can select this cell and the cell above, merge and center, use a blue background and a white font like that, and make sure I create here the headers. But before I do it, let's put everything in bold, white, blue, and with the all borders option. Here we're going to have the return, or the total return, the total profit, and also the current balance. Enter. Okay, we're done. So this is how we can create a bet tracker in Excel to help us on our daily basis. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or any suggestions to the next videos, let me know, comment down below, and I see you tomorrow, because every day has a new video.